In the late 1970s, Audi engineers began exploring an idea that would transform world rallying: permanent four-wheel drive in a rally car. And by 1980, Audi Sport had developed the first Quattro. The rest is history.
Oh, well, that was late 70s in the last century. When we tested this car, it was top secret, or it was not a Quattro, just a Technik. It was in an Audi 80. So we started with that, and I remember very well. I was really impressed. Four-wheel drive and powerful car. That was really one thing at that time.
The Quattro was homologated for Group 4 in 1981. And by February that year had secured the first ever World Rally Championship victory for a four-wheel drive car. The following year, a series of wins would contribute to Audi claiming their first manufacturer's title in 1982. Audi's dominance continued as the car continued to evolve. For the 1983 season, the Quattro was re-homologated into Group B, first as the A1 and soon after as the lighter, faster A2, with drivers such as Hannu Mikkola, Michel Mouton and Stig Blomqvist taking to the wheel. It would be Mikkola taking the driver's title though in 1983. Although Audi would miss out on the manufacturer's title to Lancia, with Stig Blomqvist becoming world champion the following year. This would secure Audi a second manufacturer's title for the Quattro to go with their 1982 victory. Closer to home in Germany, Harald Demuth had played an important role in refining Audi's four-wheel drive technology long before it hit the stages. But his time behind the wheel wasn't only in development, claiming the German championship title overall in 1982 and 1984, both times in a Quattro.
Definitely we had the best car. But this car in the beginning was not so easy to drive. And people always said it's so easy. Four-wheel drive, powerful car, everyone can win. But they didn't know how hard it was to drive it. It quite successful. Anyway, we enjoyed it.
Not content with the dominance of the A2 Quattro, in 1984, Audi introduced the short wheelbase Sport Quattro. And it would be Audi's latest signing, two-time world champion Walter Röhrl, who was tasked with some of the early on-event testing of this new challenger.
What is the difference between this Quattro, apart from the length, and the bigger Quattro?
Especially the engine. We have a four-valve engine here. It means we have about 100 horsepower more. And some handling, car is better on very twisty roads, and it's nearly the same on fast roads.
I believe this car is supposed to be almost as quick as a Formula One. Is that true?
Acceleration from start to 100 for sure, we are fastest in a Formula One.
The switch to the Sport Quattro wasn't done overnight. With the A2 still very much out there competing, Audi had been ahead of the game in recent years, but with other manufacturers embracing the Group B regulations and developing their own four-wheel drive turbocharged machines, Audi needed to do something to stay ahead. And this more agile, more powerful platform would be exactly what they needed.
You know, you had a big turbocharger. You didn't have the sophistication of anti-lag systems and everything that like I said, what you've got now. So basically you had no power below 5,000 RPM. But then, of course, when the turbo came in, you just got this massive kick in the back, which was a great feeling. So, of course, then you had to learn a technique that I'd never, ever had to do, which was, you know, left foot brake, keep the throttle down, keep the turbo spinning so that you did have power when you were coming out of a junction rather than sitting waiting for it. So that was big learning curve. And then along with that, you had a fixed, solid drive between front and rear. So you literally had no handbrake. So of course the Quattro was a big car. And as you know, on many around, there's a lot of hairpins. So that was another technique that you had to master. But having said that, then you know that the Quattro that I drove then evolved to the Sport Quattro, and I was lucky enough to drive a Sport Quattro on one event. And there's still nothing to this day lives with me like the horsepower that the Sport Quattro, you know, sort of 500 horsepower, with, should we say, not probably the best suspension. So the car was quite a handful, but just the feeling of that sheer raw power was, well, it still lives with me to this day. It was just an incredible feeling to have that sort of power.
After just one season, Audi were already working on an evolution of the Sport Quattro, and by the middle of the 1985 season, they were ready to unveil the E2. With this radical new aero package and even more power, this was the ultimate Group B machine. However, that wasn't always a view shared by the drivers, who found the car very different to drive than the previous Sport Quattro.
I tried it 2 nights, but not enough. Yeah.
It's funny to drive enough?
Very different. They have the completely new steering, you know, the system for the steering is different.
Oh.
And it's handled very easy in the corner, much easier than before, you know, really turn easily.
Yes.
But the back is fixed, it's on the ground. So when you lift, you know, with the power, puff, it lifts immediately. It's, I don't feel really the balance between the front and the rear. You know what I mean? I mean, not soft at all. Very...
Bang, bang, yeah.
Yeah.
Is the gearbox the same as before?
Yeah.
Not split, no?
No.
6 out of 5?
Yes, 6 speed gearbox.
Always 6 now in this Sport Quattro.
Yes.
The car did show early promise though, with victory on its debut, and although it would win a couple of events, its potential was left somewhat unknown when Audi withdrew the works team in the middle of the 1986 season, after the Audi bosses started to become worried about the escalating dangers of Group B rallying. In something of a final swan song, the E2 Quattro was used as a base for an assault on the Pikes Peak hill climb. And with extra power and even more extreme aero package, it put in a winning run up the mountain, making Walter Röhrl the first driver to complete the course under the 11-minute mark. A performance so legendary, it inspired a number of replica builds, such as this one, which took part in the Eiffel Rally Festival. Around the world, the Quattro made its mark far beyond the WRC. In the United States, John Buffum dominated the SCCA Pro Rally Series, taking multiple national titles from 1982 through to 1987 in various incarnations of the Quattro, as well as being one of the very few Americans to venture over to Europe to not only compete, but win a number of European Championship events at the wheel of an Audi 2.
The four-wheel drive, obviously, everybody knows about. It's great, but it had a lot of power, more power than most of the other cars at that time. 300 horsepower, you know, most of them are in 240 or 250. So the combination of the two was really good. I'd had a two-wheel drive out of the year before, in 81, when we got the Quattro. It took me a rally to get used to it, and then everything went well.
The arrival of the Audi Quattro was as dramatic in national competition as it was on the world stage. Until then, rallying was dominated by two-wheel drive cars such as the Mark II Escort, Opel Ascona and Talbot Sunbeam. The Quattro threatened to change that picture entirely overnight.
I joined Audi back in 1985, teammate to Michel Mouton for the British Championship, and I was in the longer wheelbase car. I mean, it was a big, I won't say it was a shock, but it was a big change because I'd gone from normally aspirated two-wheel drive cars, Escorts, Nissan 240 RS, leading up to winning the national championship to get the chance with Audi. Suddenly, I was presented with a left-hand drive, four-wheel drive, turbocharged, twice the power car, and it's a button on the gear stick to change gears, so you could left foot brake to keep the turbo spinning. So it was a big jump, but I didn't take long to get into it, and I thoroughly enjoyed that first year with Audi and given the chance to turn professional.
Teams around the world quickly brought the car into their national scenes. Its first appearances on events stunned spectators, who watched the Quattro fire out of the corners on gravel and mud with an ease that their rivals would find hard to match, and an unmistakable 5-cylinder soundtrack. the Audi Quattro delivered 2 manufacturer world titles, 2 drivers' world championships, and a number of national championship victories across the globe. More importantly, it demonstrated that four-wheel drive was indeed the future of rallying. The modern-day top-level rally car owes its entire existence to the pioneering Audi Quattro. It was fast, it was brutal, and it rewrote the history of rallying forever.